Hey everybody, 3 messages from our sponsors. First, have you watched my interview with Ramit Sethi of I Will Teach You to Be Rich? When you do, you'll see just how jam-packed it is with actionable strategy. So what's Ramit been working on lately? A brand new course for finding your dream job. And you can bet it will be the step-by-step tactics that get actual results. Sign up at iwillteachyoutoberich.com. Second, I've been getting more and more emails from viewers asking how I do my interviews. I wish I could take credit for it, but I learned everything from mixg.com. Andrew Warner created a complete tutorial with video and written instructions, and he sells it for the crazy price of just $49. Check it out at mixg.com. Finally, when I interviewed Pamela Wilson of BigBrandSystem.com, she said there are 2 key elements to a blogger's brand: color and font. Check out how easy it is to read the font at Big Brand System. She did that with a free online tool called typekit.com, where you can pick custom fonts for your website. And hey, I use it for right of use too. Get started at typekit.com. Hi everybody, I'm Michael Alexis, producer of rightofuse.com. Today I'm interviewing Neil Patel, who is the blogger behind QuickSprout and the entrepreneur behind companies like Crazy Egg, Kissmetrics, and Kiss Insights. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Now, I want to start with a really big question and then get into the specifics of how you've built up your blog, your company's traffic, etc. But the big question is, in my research, I found that QuickSprout is a top 10,000 Alexa blog. And I'm wondering, the broad overview of how you got there and how you stay there when it's a part-time effort.
Sure, and it is tough to actually do that when it's a part-time effort, but a lot of it has to do with just writing valuable content. You don't have to write that frequently, but make sure whatever you write, people want to read. So don't just write whatever you want to write, but write what people want to hear from you. And if you do that, I think you'll start getting traffic over time. Once you get there, it's actually easier to stay there than it is to get there, because you start growing subscribers and email lists and stuff like that. Every time you write a new blog post, you keep on having a lot of the same people come back. And they constantly promote your stuff on Twitter and all those social sites. So that's not the issue. The hardest part is actually getting there, and you get there with really good content.
Right, so get there first, and then maintenance is a little bit easier. Let's talk about how you got there, but first, how long did it take you to reach that level with QuickSprout?
3-4 years maybe?
Okay, then let's talk tactics, let's talk strategy, because that's what people are really watching for. What were the steps that you took to make QuickSprout such a successful blog?
Other than writing good content?
Other than writing good content.
Promoting it on Twitter and Facebook, hands down.
Then,
so getting your friends, their friends, so forth and so on, to really push it on Facebook and Twitter is what has built the audience over the years.
Right, and I think it would be too easy to get away, say, just using Facebook and Twitter. You, I think, are known in the blogging community for some of the innovative tactics you use. One being, how on Kissmetrics you actually put tweets right in the content to give people more opportunities to share. In the early days of QuickSprout, how were you using, let's start with Twitter, to drive more traffic? What were you trying that was a little bit more innovative?
I don't know if Twitter was out. I used Dig. I had a powerful Dig account, a top 10 or 20 account that I kind of owned, and I created, and I would push my content, which really helped.
Do you think Dig is as relevant now as it was at that time?
Not as much now, but at that time it was very effective.
Okay. Well, if somebody was interested in doing what you had, if they wanted to get on Dig or Reddit or another one of these communities and promote their own content, how do they get a top Dig account like you had?
You just work with some of those users who are on those social sites on a daily basis and see if you can get them to submit your content. There's no other quick way that I know of other than networking and getting those users to submit your content.
Right, so get a significant number of people that will dig your content or Reddit up your content or whatever the terminology is to tip it in your favor.
That's correct.
Okay, so once you started getting that initial traffic, you, of course, were writing good content, you were having it shared on Facebook and Twitter. What other things have you done to bring big traffic spikes to QuickSpread?
Get other bloggers to blog on you. So over a while, you'll start building connections with other bloggers. As you blog, you'll reach out to build relationships, and you can sometimes convince other bloggers to just blog and be like, "Hey, dude, do you mind doing a post on me?" It's as simple as that, but it only works if you have good relationships, which can take years to build.
Right. Let's talk about forming those relationships then. Who are some of the more influential bloggers that you had reached out to and built those connections with?
Like John Chow, shoemoney.com. Those are bloggers that I built relationships with over the years before I even asked for any favors.
Right. And are those connections that you made first in real life or online?
Real life, through conferences.
Okay, so maybe that's something that we can keep in mind too, that it's not just networking through Twitter that's important, but the real life stuff too.
You need to meet people in real life and bond with them.
Right. Are there conferences or networking events that you'd recommend as ones that viewers should be attending?
Blog World is a big one because you
Right.
meet a ton of bloggers at Blog World. I think that one goes on in Vegas. Let's see, and then any industry-related ones, because there's a ton of events that are probably in your industry, and if you go to them, you'll probably meet a handful of bloggers.
Right, it's a good point. And
It's not about quantity of traffic; it's quality.
right, the people that are going to come and be engaged and comment, etc.
Yep, that's correct.
So once you have built those relationships in real life, and you said it, maybe it takes several years to get to that point. Is it really as simple to just send them a quick email and say, hey, John Chow, can you write a blog post about me? Or is it a little bit more elegant?
Uh, if you have good relationships, it's as simple as sending an email. Hey, John, check if you blog on this. I think it'll benefit your readers. I really appreciate it. Let me know if I can do anything for you.
Right.
If you don't have the relationships as strong, then it's more okay. Hey, John, just want to see if I could talk to you about potentially you promoting QuickSprout or whatever it may be. I think here's how it'll benefit your readers. Sorry about that. Just so tired from all the board meetings this week. But yeah, so that as well as being like, hey, let's talk about how I can also help you out. So it has to
Right.
be reciprocated.
Sure. So maybe in 2 or 3 years, I'll send you an email that says, hey, Neil, you remember that interview we did? Well, my site's doing a little bit better now. Let's see if we can help each other out.
That's correct.
Then let's digress for a second. I mean, you yawned. You said you're tired, and from what I've read online, you have a pretty rigorous schedule. How do you keep up the energy, the amount of work that you put into your blogging and your companies?
Sure. So the way I actually do it is I pre-blog. And by that is like I work so much, I barely have time. I try to find like the off times. So tomorrow's going to be Christmas Eve. And then Christmas. That gives me us 2 days. I can probably crank out like 5, 6 blog posts in 2 days. And then New Year's is another day. So when people take holidays, I'm blogging. When
Right.
people are enjoying their Saturdays and Sundays, I'm blogging.
Right. So you can prepare your 5 or 6 posts, set them to post in the future in WordPress, and when they do come out, people are none the wiser. They don't know exactly when you read it. Still, there
Well,
are.
same when I travel too, because I travel a lot. When people sleep on the plane, I'm blogging on the plane.
Right. Okay, I like it. It's ambitious. One thing that you can't necessarily time so well is things like comments, though, and your blog does get a lot of them. Do you sit down at the end of the night for 10 minutes and respond to all the comments? Do you respond to them as they come?
It's whenever I get time throughout the day, but I wish it was 10 minutes. It takes me hours a day.
Hours a day. Okay, because
I
there are
would say
just so
no more.
darn many of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't say more. It shouldn't be more than 2 hours a day, but I would say no less than 30 minutes. So 30 minutes to hour and a half is probably the realistic time frame each day.
Right.
Not including Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday is pretty much dead. I can finish it all like in 10 minutes.
Now, there are bloggers out there who have disabled comments on their blogs. One of the maybe more famous ones being Zen Habits. Why do you use comments if it's a time sink, right? You have a lot of other things to be taken care of.
Let's me get to know the reader.
Right.
Build a personal connection. I'm a big believer in getting to know that if someone's willing to take the time to read my content, I should take the time to help them out.
I like that. Do people reach out to you by email as well or by social networking channels?
Both. I probably get like a few hundred emails a day.
Okay, so it's not just this answering all the comments, it's the emails
Yeah,
and the Twitter,
most of them
etc.
are work related, but I would probably say like 10, 20 a day that are blog related.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else in the sort of realm of free traffic that you did with QuickSprout that you think would be really useful for the viewers, something that maybe they could imitate to get to the level that you did?
Let's see. Actually, one thing that I really ended up doing early on was going out there, finding like the popular message boards, forums, and just helping out and leaving good, valuable information. And in my email signature, I made sure I put a link back to my blog. That helped drove traffic. I also found all the popular blogs like TechCrunch and Mashable, and anytime they would do a blog post, I'll be one of the first ones to comment, and I'll make sure I put my name and URL, and it drove traffic back as well. So I do those two things, which helped a lot.
Okay, actually, I like the forum one because it's one that I've thought about but don't really understand. You know, when I get onto forums online, it always looks like there's two kinds of people. There's the person that came in just to ask a really specific question to solve the problem that they have, and then there's the guy that responds to them who has like, you know, 7,000 forum posts on there. Who are you actually getting traffic from when you engage in the forums?
I have no clue. Whoever's reading forums, it's one of those guys are clicking through, right? It doesn't matter if it's the guy with 7,000 queries or someone who is a visitor and isn't even a registered user. As long as it's driving visitors for people who are interested in that topic, you're good to go because it's building up your relevant reader base.
Right. And because it's in the forum, because it's in the industry, whatever you're looking in, it is going to be qualified. So, more specifically then, if you see somebody with a problem or a question on there, I get that you'd respond to them and add value, try to help them with their problem. How do you actually draw them back to your page?
You don't have to. All you have to do is because in your forum signature post, it's just your name and your website name. And if you write really good information and help them out, people are like, this guy sounds smart, or this gal sounds smart. Let's check out their site.
Okay, so simple enough. And the other one that you said is making sure to be the first one to comment on places like TechCrunch and Mashable. In your case, and for other people, it might be other popular blogs. So, one thing people do online is when they write the first comment, it's just first comment exclamation mark.
Yeah, those are shitty comments. You got to make sure the comment actually provides some value to the conversation and
Yeah.
is really relevant to the post. Anytime someone comes to my blog and just writes first comment or nice post, I just click the delete button.
Right. So when you are making those comments on, let's say TechCrunch, are you only commenting on posts and stories that you really are interested in, that you really are engaged in, or is it, well, if I do add a comment to this story, maybe I'll get a little bit of traffic from it.
It's more so posts that are relevant and I'm interested in. I don't just comment for the sake of it. Because then, if you do that, then you're not going to get the right type of readers. You want to make sure they're relevant to your site and you enjoy it. And you should enjoy it because it's relevant to the topic you're blogging on. And if you don't enjoy what you're blogging on, then stop blogging because you're not going to blog for a year or two straight. It's like don't expect to blog for a month to become a popular blogger. So.
Right, you need to put in the time. All right, let's put free traffic aside for a second and talk about paid traffic, because one of the other things I noticed doing the research for this interview is that you've tried some interesting tactics as well. I was on thesimpledollar.com, Trent Ham's blog, and one of his advertisements was a big picture of you. It's got a bright green background and it says something like, hey, you haven't been to QuickSprout in a while, come on by and be cool like Neil Patel. And I looked at that and I thought, all right, that's kind of cool. I've never seen that before. So, first, a simple question. Where did the idea for that come from?
One of my buddies owns this company called retargeter.com, and I tested out the concept and it works and it's been driving me traffic. It's a good $500 to spend every month.
About $500 a month. And how much traffic does it bring to your blog?
I don't even track it. I do it for more so branding.
Right. And we'll talk about your branding, your personal brand in a minute. But sorry, what was it called? It was resomething.com, retarget.com.
Retarg or retargeter.com.
Right. We'll make sure it's right in the write up for this interview. Are there tricks to using it as effectively as you have?
Um, Tricks.
Or
Yeah,
maybe a fair way to
basically,
ask the question is how you got from when you first started using it to the ads that you're displaying now.
yeah. I just throw up banner ads. I check out quick sprout, blah blah blah. If the ads, if you don't rotate them up, people get tired of seeing them after a while. So two, make sure you change it up every once in a while. It's called banner blindness. I think that's called banner blindness. But two is make sure it's catchy too, right? So it's like if it really appeals to people, then I've noticed the increase in click through. My version was being cheesy, right? Like want to be cool like Neil Patel, then come back to quick sprout.
Right. And yeah, it does come across as a little bit cheesy, but it's fun too. It does bring people back, I think.
That's right.
Now, just to confirm for the viewers that aren't familiar with it, retargeter, is it only people that have previously been to your website, been to your blog, that are going to see those ads?
It is.
Okay,
It
so
really, those are the people you're targeting. I'm not like going back to that blog that you mentioned. If a random person went to that blog, they wouldn't see my ad.
right. Then I think what's interesting about it is it provides an opportunity to get free traffic as well because, when I saw that ad, I didn't actually click on it. I didn't want to cost you any money, but I did think, okay, well, now that I've seen QuickSprout again, I'm probably more likely to, either just type it into my browser bar or go back tomorrow or the day after that, etc. So,
And even if you click on it, it doesn't cost me any money. I already paid my fee.
okay, so it's a monthly amount.
Yeah, I'm paying CPM rates.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right, next time I'll just click on it.
There you go.
There we go.
That's that.
Let's try to transition this then into the work that you've done with your companies. So, from QuickSprout to the Kissmetrics blog. And what I'm really interested in there is how you've built a community around an analytics product, because for the people, I expect that a lot of the viewers are familiar with it, but the Kissmetrics blog, it gets a lot of comments, it gets a lot of shares. People are actively involved with what's happening there. How did you do that?
Uh, Wait, QuickSprout or Kissmetrics blog?
The Kissmetrics blog.
Okay, so Kissmetrics log. It's just over time, just building up that community, and what we ended up doing is to really grow the Kissmetrics following and engagement. We grew our Twitter one first. So our Twitter handle is much more. How would you say? It's much more popular, or it was at first than our blog. And by having a popular Twitter profile and engaging and responding to people, then they started checking out our blog. But that's how we ended up building up the loyal blog audience first, and the traffic was first built up to Twitter.
Right, so that when it did come time for the blog to go online, you could dump all those people into it. Let's talk about Twitter then. How do you go about getting lots of Twitter followers?
I go about getting lots of Twitter followers by just engaging with them. Sounds silly, but like look for people who tweet stuff that's relevant to you, follow them. Start responding to people who are asking questions. Start engaging with anyone who tweets at you. So like just doing old school, tedious tasks, it actually helps building up your presence on Twitter.
Right, now, what I found, when I've heard that advice before is I'll go onto Twitter and I'll start looking for people that have, the similar interests or maybe write about similar things. And it seems like a very slow process. It seems like you can spend half an hour and only find, a few people that seem really relevant sometimes. Are you looking for really highly targeted people, or is it more like casting out a net of anybody that might sort of fit the profile of people that you eventually want to come to your site?
For me, it's anyone who might fit the profile wanting to come to my site.
Okay, so a wider net of
Yes,
people to
I go
attract.
with the wider net for sure.
So once you've reached out to and engaged those people, you're following them, they're following you, and you've got a Twitter account with 10, 15, 20,000 followers. What do you do then to turn them from Twitter followers to blog followers?
I end up pretty much just pushing them to my site by tweeting about relevant stuff. So, and then if they like it and they keep on seeing my tweets, they'll follow the blog.
So what exactly do you tweet? Is it only your own content, or are you tweeting things
Bit
from
of
around the web?
content around the web, content relevant to my industry, and content from my blog. All three, as well as the other basic stuff like engaging with other people, responding to them, answering other people's questions on Twitter, stuff like that.
Right. So when you do post your own content, have you tested to see sort of what has the highest click-through rates? Are there ways that you can phrase a tweet? Are there ways that you can position it? Do you include statistics, as I read about in some of your blog things?
We actually do. So we've tested a lot of that. There's a lot of blog posts on like how to maximize your retweets and stuff, and there's a ton of data out there. But we followed a lot of that to see if it's true, and we've noticed it is, right? But I don't know a lot off the top of my head, but I wrote a blog post on Quickspot on how to get more retweets. And in there, I broke down like a lot of the research that we learned and other people end up creating and that we tested out to see if it was actually accurate.
Right, and I believe that I read that post, and I'll try to find again for the viewers. And some of them were things like make your tweet on a Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. because most of the Twitter accounts are at Eastern Standard Time, etc. That's the time that they're online. Da 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 da. So, what you're saying then is that that's actually true?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll direct people to that post. They can go through it for their process. When you have drawn those people from Twitter to the Kissmetrics blog, then how do you get them to? I don't want to just say just leave comments. What I want to say is that the people that do comment on the Kissmetrics blog, they're pretty insightful. They're pretty engaged. They're actually adding value to the conversation. How?
Well, you get that way by asking questions at the end of posts. That helps. And then the other thing that helps too is by writing really detailed blog posts. If you write detailed blog posts, you're more likely to get detailed comments. If you don't write detailed blog posts, you write skimpy ones, you're also not likely to get good comments.
Right. Now, where exactly does the content for the Kissmetrics blog come from?
Writers, we have a lot of guest authors.
Right.
So he manages the blog full time, and then he manages a staff of writers as well.
Right, and it's Sean Work that manages the guest posters,
That's correct. I don't know how you knew that, but I'm guessing you did your research.
and that I've guest posted on the blog before. So,
Okay.
what I'm interested in then is the guest posts that are coming in. First, how you attracted those. How did you get people to want to write for you?
Oh, we reach out to people. We reach out to people every week. And a lot of people. We have someone who just reaches out to people, and we actually pay a lot of people to write too for us.
Okay, it's interesting. I actually remember the first guest post I made for Kissmetrics was, I guess, about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and it was a few months later that I got an email that said, "Hey, just going through our archives. I was wondering if you wanted to write another post." Da 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 da. So I'm actually in the process of doing one now.
Awesome.
It seems like reaching out to people can go a long way. When you are accepting guest posts onto your site, what are some of the things to watch out for? Because it seems to me that opening yourself up to the internet, you might get flooded with a lot of junk, right?
Hey, we just turn down literally 90, probably 99% of the people who actually want a guest post, but we look for relevance. We look for quality writers, because if you can't write good content, then there's no point. And then we look for writing styles that actually go with our current blog as well as our audience.
Right. So perhaps if somebody did want to guest post on the Kissmetrics blog, they could look at some of the popular posts, see the style that was put in place, see the topic they had covered, and do the best to imitate it.
That's correct.
Right, stay consistent. With the Kissmetrics blog, then, you're not quite as engaged there as you are with your own Quick Sprout. Was that a conscious choice to not be responding in the comments to everybody, to not be doing much of the writing?
Oh no, I wish I could. I just don't have the time.
Yeah, fair enough. There's only so many things. Let's with those covered, I do want to talk about your personal branding because I think you are somebody online that's done it very, very well. And I know that it's taken time to get where you are, about 10 years of sort of active promotion online. There's two things that really stand out when somebody visits QuickSprout. One is that you're in the Technorati top 10 for a period of time for one of your blogs, and the other is that the Wall Street Journal called you a top influencer online. Both of which are pretty cool. Both of which are pretty good to be able to say. Technorati top 10. What was the blog that got you there?
So sadly, it wasn't top 10. It was actually top 100. I wish top 10 though.
Right. Looks
The
like I
blog
wrote it
that
down wrong in my notes, but 100's pretty good too.
it was Pronet Advertising. It was an internet marketing blog that pretty much is dead. Stopped blogging on there. Um, that got me a lot of traction. And I would literally get on Dig day after day after day and nonstop. That's why that blog did really well. For Quick Sprout, it was more so related to, or not Quick Sprout, so the Wall Street Journal, it was more so related to my Dig user account. I was so good at getting stories on the homepage that the Wall Street Journal called me influencer because of that. Because I was just getting so many stories from different companies online and I would get paid for it.
It's cool, and you can see how those two things and the other work you were doing would have sort of built together, compiled together to get that Wall Street Journal quote. So the blog that you had that was Technorati Top 100, you said Pronet Advertising. If the blog was doing so well, why is it dead now?
I was tired of blogging.
Okay, so
And I was tired of blogging on marketing. I wanted to blog on entrepreneurship.
now it does seem to me though that when you launched QuickSprout, it has similar topics, does it not? It's advertising and marketing and SEO and social networking and
It ended up turning into a blog that was like my old blog. The only difference was is before I used to write content just to get popular on the web. Now I only write content that I think provides value.
right for
Like
people.
I
So
don't care if a million people visit my blog. Don't get me wrong, I love it if they did every month, but I more so care about is my content providing value.
right, and even from a branding point of view, QuickSprout seems to fit a little bit better with what you do. Sort of the cool, fun Neil Patel instead of ProNet Advertising, which sounds very corporate, right? It sounds like one of those Me Too blogs out there that is all just posting the same stuff.
So my blog should ideally been neilpatel.com, but I messed up there.
Right. I'm actually curious about that because it was probably about 2 years ago that I found neilpatel.com, and I remember it because it was a pretty cool design. It was one where you start at the top of the page, and I think it was like the nighttime sky, and as you scroll all the way down, you go through the clouds and the buildings, etc., until you got to, I think it was like Neil Land or something. It was fun. It was cool. What happened there? Why didn't it take off?
Oh, my that server got hacked, and I just got to put the site back up. I've just been lazy. It's been well over a year. So I need to do that.
It's a matter of finding the time.
That's right. And then the only reason I haven't done it and pulled the trigger is because it affects emails. So if I just pull the switch and change everything over, it actually screws up how many emails I end up getting. Um, because it can mess up my Gmail server, right? Or Gmail, I don't know how it works. And the last thing I want to do is miss emails. So, but the reason I didn't do QuickSprout on neilpatel.com at that time is I just didn't own Neil Patel at the time when I started QuickSprout.
Right. So it also does seem to me that's a time management thing, right? You can only be in so many places online at once. That's Can we talk a little bit more about your server getting hacked? Because I think that that's probably something that we're all susceptible to. And I imagine that you would be better prepared for it than others would. You're in the technology industry, you have software programmers, server guys. working for you that could take care of it. It's just, like you said, this Gmail server issue. What does somebody do? Somebody's got a popular blog, their server gets hacked and it goes down. What do they do?
Get it back up. I use Vault Press. So anything that's important, we don't have these issues. I'm trying to find wood, but knock on wood. But the end of the day, you have to use a backup program like Vault Press and then just figure out how to actually make sure you're backing everything up. With like a neilpatel.com, it never made us money. We knew when it was happening. We just didn't care to fix it, right? But we could have fixed it. I would just, get a new server or hosting provider if you're getting your site hacked all the time. Like we had old versions of WordPress that were like 2-3 years old running on the servers that we didn't care to update. So a lot of it was our fault as well.
Right. It's funny. Maybe I'm a little bit too easily distracted, but when you did the knock on wood, it reminded me in the research I was reading through the last interview you did on Mixtree.com, and in the transcript, the transcribers actually, when you did it, wrote knock on wood in brackets. So maybe a Neil Patel trade as well.
I think I remember what you're talking about. I remember saying knock on wood to something. I think it was something really random too, like you have kids or something, right? But,
yeah, you can only hope not yet, anyways.
uh,
Let's talk more about personal branding. We've talked a little bit about the decisions you made, but and the influence that you've had, the quotes that have been made about you. But where did it all start? The brand that is now Neil Patel. Was it an active decision in the beginning, or is it something that evolved over time?
evolved over time, and a lot of it was luck. My branding came because I just help a lot of people for free. That's really where it came from. I don't expect anything from people. I just help them out for free.
Right. So again, just getting out there and engaging and helping people. What, are you just helping everybody?
I'm helping almost everyone out there, so anyone that hits me up.
Right. I like that. And I'll let the viewers know that you are extremely accessible. When I emailed you to do this interview, I think you responded about 4 seconds later and said, yes, I'd love to. So helping out.
Yeah, you got me at the right time too. I was probably checking emails at that time, but yeah, I'm pretty quick. I usually respond within 24 hours.
Right. That's very good. When somebody is considering their personal brand, then, it makes sense that it evolves over time. I think that's more natural. But are there sort of conscious choices you can make for your brand that will resonate better with people?
There are conscious choices you can make. For example, you didn't make sure that you feel warm and fuzzy somehow. I don't know what that is, right? Like, could be your look. The last thing you want to be is like look like a douchebag. If you look like a douchebag, no one's going to want to approach you and talk to you, right? So it's really important for you to go out there and actually build a brand with people that's really nice and approachable. In addition to that, you could also do things like make sure that you're really open and let people know you're open. Whether it's like putting your contact address out there or with your writings and your blogging, just show that you're open, be very transparent. All that kind of stuff really helps.
Right, and I think when it comes time to writing guest posts about this interview, I might quote you on the warm and fuzzy bit. I think it's cute. People
Yes,
like it.
that's right.
When you are being open, can you be too personal in the story you tell? Can you be too personal with the information that you're sharing online?
I think you can. It's all about just saying enough where people get to know you. But there's like some things you just want to keep private, right? You shouldn't go like too into depth on really bad things or family and stuff like that. I'm a big believer that you shouldn't share everything.
Right. I think when I asked Ramit Sethi the same question, he answered it the same way. He said, I think so, but, don't blog about breaking up with your girlfriend or whatever it happened to be.
You need to keep some sort of professionalism.
Right. So keeping that professionalism in mind, keeping in mind that it is business and it is part of a more ultimate goal. When on Quicksprout, you wrote your about page, information about Neil Patel. It's long form. You do tell you tell the story of where you started and where you got, how you got where you are. What are the key elements there to writing an about page that's actually going to connect with people?
Sure. So one, it's about going really back into your history since the day you were born. Reason being is people feel like they've known you for a long time. You're going to build a stronger bond with them. Hence, I start with when I was born, and I start telling all the way from that to present.
All right. So April 26th, 1985.
April 24th, 1985.
Okay, I was close. Mine's April 3rd, 1985. So maybe I'll write that in my about page.
That's right. And hopefully, by the way, you can see me now.
The light's a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm like, it's dark here in Seattle, and I forgot, like, literally when it started, it was a bit brighter, and then, boom, I forgot that it starts getting really dark at 4 o'clock here.
Not a worry.
So what really ends up happening is when you do the young thing, because when you start when you're bored, people feel like they get to know you longer. Two, you have to tell stories. People connect with stories. And a lot of times if you tell multiple stories, people will be like, oh yeah, I experienced something similar in my days, whatever it may be. And what ends up happening is they start feeling like they get to know you better. Two is, don't just talk about the good stuff. Tell the ups and downs, because everyone has good parts and bad parts. Also helps people feel like they can resonate more with you. And trying to connect with people on a personal level. I usually do that by ending it, right? Like, what are my goals, how I want to help you, whatever it may be, and make sure it's genuine. But if you do all those things, you should end up having a pretty good about page.
Right. Now, you can imagine somebody watching this thinking, well, that all sounds fine and good for Neil Patel because for the last, he has a story that's consistent. It's about entrepreneurship and marketing and SEO, and it kind of makes sense where he got to where he is. What about for the people that are watching, and again, they're bloggers who say, well, actually, I'm new to blogging. I've started up because I always kept a personal journal or something, and how do they tell a story to got where they are that actually sounds credible?
You don't have to sound credible. That's the mistake that people try to make. You just got to tell your story and tell people where you want to go. If you don't have much, you just talk about what you have. It doesn't have to be consistent with you did this throughout your whole life. It could be you tried doing 10 different things. You haven't figured out your path in life, but you're trying to figure it out still. And then, just break down what your goals are for the future. That works too. It's all about just being transparent. And talk about what you learned if you don't have a consistent path and the mistakes you made.
Right, so honesty, transparency, or in the case of Chris Gillibo, talk about how you plan on visiting every country in the world, because that seemed to resonate well with people too.
There you go.
Another part of Quicksprout that I've been wondering about is, 2 weeks ago when I visited again to contact you, the front page wasn't the blog anymore. It was the sales page. And actually, since then, it's changed to something else. What are you doing?
So I tried selling a product in between. It worked out well. I did it to get voice of customer data. It helps me understand what the readers want, what they don't want. Because I offered a 30-minute phone call with everyone who bought. Technically, I lost money because the 30-minute phone calls was worth more than what I was charging. But then I figured out what my readers want, and now I'm modifying the blog again to figure out how I can actually provide it. I don't care to charge for it. The new thing that I'm releasing is actually free, but I did it for voice of customer data.
Right. I think very, very interested, not what the answer that I expected. When I interviewed Pamela Wilson the other day, BigBrandSystem.com, she said that Copyblogger has done something similar as well. Before, when you went to copyblogger.com, it was their blog on the first page. Now they've moved it somewhere else, and the first page is, hey, we offer these software solutions as well. So in their case, a business decision, presumably to make more money. In your case, it's to really learn about the customers and the people that are visiting.
That's right, and I am going to make a business decision from it, and the homepage is going to change again. But I did the first version to end up getting more data so I can figure out what to end up releasing.
Right.
Which is coming out in the next 30 days.
If somebody wanted to imitate what you've done, is there a risk in taking your written content, the content that people are usually used to seeing when they visit quicksprout.com, and moving it somewhere else?
There is a risk. My traffic stayed the same.
Right.
It worked. I was willing to roll the dice. I didn't really lose any readers from it either.
Right. And perhaps that's because of the way that either people are familiar with your blog, they know to look for it anyways, or they get there through social media where they have a direct link to what you want.
What's the worst case that happens? Someone's not happy, they'll come back later on.
Right.
Worst case, if it doesn't work out, I can always switch it back. I'm not running a big business like Netflix where if I do something drastic, people are going to get mad and not come back, right? I'm not trying to screw people over. I'm trying to help them out.
Right. When it came to that first page, then when you were offering, I think it was called something like Neil Patel's traffic generation system. Why did you choose to offer that product?
It was the quickest one I could end up creating that I thought my readers would want.
Right. And can I ask how many sales came out of it?
I don't know the exact number, but it was in the hundreds.
Okay, so hundreds of people, which is a lot of money, but also more importantly for you, a lot of feedback.
That's correct. Yeah, I didn't get to 1,000, but I was getting in the hundreds.
Right. And that's a lot of half an hour phone calls too. Have you had all of those?
I have not. There were way too many. That's why I kept it up for like a week or two.
Right. That's funny. I think a bold decision to offer something like that.
I could remove the phone call and then still collect the money, but my goal isn't to make money from the site. I'll make more doing my real full-time business than I will trying to sell something on my blog.
Right.
Copy blogger, for them, it's a business. For me, my blog isn't a business.
Right. What is your blog then?
It's fun. It's educational. Try to give back.
Right. And I do want to talk a little bit about monetization because it will be relevant to people watching. I do remember in my research that the most successful way of monetizing QuickSprout was actually just linking to your companies, to Crazy Egg, to Kissmetrics, etc. How do you get people from fun to buy-in mode?
You have to educate them and get ready. So you have to put them into email drip systems. You have to prepare them, teach them why they should buy, all of that kind of stuff, which is a lot of work. But still to this date, the blog makes me the most amount of money by just linking to my startups, give a lot of free advice. People love it. They want to see what my startups have to offer. They can click, and if they want to sign up, they can sign up. If not, no worries.
Right. I feel like we're covering things in such broad overview here, but I hope that everyone is getting the value out of it. Let's try to talk more specifics about monetizing then. So the product that you did have up for a couple of weeks, you thought it was the one that you could put together quickest, it would resonate well and provide value for the readers. How did you price it?
I just put $197 because that's what I thought people would pay.
Right. So it was a little bit of guesswork, a little bit science experience.
That's right. Because if you ask people, hey, how much would you pay for X? And if you ask 10, 20 people, you'll start getting relevant data. Like people say, oh, I'll pay somewhere in the low hundreds. I'll pay $10. I'll pay, $500, and then you optimize it to maximize your revenue.
Right. Are there sort of lower and higher extremes of where you can price an information product that you're selling online?
The lower would be $27, I think. The highest would be in the thousands. I know Ramit charges thousands for his product. It works well for I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Timothy Sykes can charge up into the thousands. Works well for him as well.
Right. I think that, well, I'll interview Timothy Sykes to ask him about it. I wish that I had asked Ramit more about how he priced and developed his course, but maybe in the future. Could I get your insight on it? How are these two guys charging? It's a significant amount of money for most people for an information product.
It's what they provide. It's not just a normal information product. If it takes you 6 months to create an informational product, it's you're getting, in many cases, you'll learn more from these guys in a month than you will learn going to college for a year for your niche. The amount of ROI you get is huge. Timothy Sykes teaches you how to make money trading stocks. He's making people hundreds of thousands of bucks. What's a few $1,000 for a few 100,000? It's a good exchange, right?
It's a very good exchange, absolutely. And similarly with Ramit's, where even though it's called Earn 1K, he seems to have a lot of testimonials of people that have earned 40, 50, 60, 80K and built entire businesses for themselves.
Yeah,
so.
I would pay Ramit 2K or whatever he charges for him to teach me how to make 50, 60 grand. That's a good deal. That's more than the average American makes by far.
Right, and it's a good deal, and it seems pretty obvious in hindsight, right? And even when you can just read all those testimonials of people that it's worked for. What about when you're first offering one of these products?
But here's the thing. All these products have money back guarantees. I
Right.
bet you if he asked for me for his money back, I had people asking me for my money back even after the 30-minute phone call. And like, I love the advice. And then, yeah, I'll get an email from, asking for a refund. Or I get people who bought right away, set up the phone call the same day if they could get it, and then ask for a refund after. Like, thank you for it. It was just, I felt it was really expensive. Or I got people who bought, and after they bought, because they started getting a course, within a minute later, they asked for a refund, right? I'm like, I know you didn't go through the material in a minute. Or even a day. It's impossible. It's just too much text and videos and MP3s and stuff. But what do you have to lose? You
Right.
can just return them with a click of a button.
Right.
Or
Maybe
ask,
a very good attitude to have about it. Let's talk about it from your side of the equation, though. To me, actually, I didn't even really think of that before, right? To me, it's still a purchasing decision. Do I really want this? Do I not want it? But yeah, with the no risk money back guarantee, it does seem pretty flexible. From your side of it, though, is there a filtering process you go through to make sure that you aren't getting cheated? You don't have people that are just being sort of frivolous on a whim, buying and returning?
it's hard to create a filter list for that. All you have to do is just put your best foot forward, write a lot of good content, offer a ton of bonuses. The main thing you can do is offer extra stuff that you didn't tell them you're going to within the time period, so that way they don't ask for a refund. Because you can say, hey, next week I'm going to give you this. And they're like, hey, I got this extra cool bonus for you. And you can continually doing that even after the refund period is over. Like right before, you can say, hey, stay tuned. The next few days, I'm going to give you this X cool bonus that's going to break all of this down, which reduces refunds. That's the best filter you can end up doing.
Right, and to keep people in there and engaged. Because I'd expect one of the biggest risks is that people, sign up because your sales page was really good, got them pumped, and then a couple of days later, they haven't done anything. They just want their money back. I also remember it was in Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week. He talked about the guarantee that he offers for his products, which is something like 110% of your money back. And he said that a guarantee like that gets a lot more buys than it does. The money works out. It's a higher bottom line in the end because if you assume that the world is good and you do put your best foot out there, like you said, then yeah, hopefully it's going to do well.
You can make a career out for arbitraging those kind of businesses. There's so many businesses you can go out there. I know this is shady, but you spend $100, they give you 110 back, you make 10%.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick return, right?
And you're actually getting information. Although I don't recommend it because it sucks for the people who created that content. But yeah, that's the one way to do is offer like 110 or 120% return. You can also eat a lot of costs doing that as well, right? You can lose a lot of money.
Right. So there is some risk involved, but again, we'll try to assume that the world's good. Though, again, when I do the guest post about this, I'm not only going to mention the warm and fuzzy side of Neil Patel, but also the suggestions for what people can do to make a quick 10%.
The gray side of Neil Patel or the dark side.
The dark
I'll,
side, I like it.
I don't necessarily do it myself, but
Right. Well, again,
it's
there's more useful things to spend the time and the money on. I do in this interview really want to talk about your companies as well, and we've spent a lot of time on the blogs. Do you think that there is one of the companies, Crazy Eggs, Kiss Metrics, Kiss Insights, that you think would be most useful to talk about for bloggers?
Kiss Insights is probably the most useful one to talk for bloggers.
Okay, so what exactly is Kiss Insights?
It's a free surveying tool that you can ask anyone any questions. So if you're a blogger, you can ask them, hey, is there any way I can make my blog better? Or, hey, what else do you want to see me blog about? How disappointed would you be if this blog did not exist? Because that can tell you how loyal your readers are, right? Like very disappointed, somewhat disappointed, not disappointed at all. I wouldn't give a shit, right? You can like give them responses or to choose from. The cool part about it is you can actually select who sees a question. You can say, hey, only repeat visitors see this question, certain new visitors, people who've been on the site for 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes. You can like dissect it really or segment it pretty well. Like, hey, if someone is on their second page view, then they see it or they see it on exit. Like all of that helps you get targeted feedback, which helps you figure out how to create a better blog. And it's all for free.
Right. And because we have that flexibility, we can do testing as well and see what works best with the people that are responding because that user feedback is quite valuable. When I visited QuickSprout this week, I noticed one of the questions you were asking with Kiss Insights was if you had to describe QuickSprout to a friend, yeah, how would you do it? What would you say? Did you get a lot of feedback to that?
I did. I think I got like 83 responses in a day or something, or two.
And how have people been responding? Have you had time to look at it?
I have not had time to look at it.
Not aware.
uh, a company, so I don't have time to do everything. I heard a company called Conversion Rate Experts out of the UK, and they actually help set up the surveys, interviews, they dissect the data, and then they give it back to me, which helps me improve my blogging and all that kind of stuff. So I looked through a few of the responses when I first started getting it, but people would say like, oh, awesome blog about entrepreneurship, awesome blog about marketing. So I figured out trends, learn how to make more money, learn about marketing. The money one is more related to business, so business, marketing, and the third one was analytics, because a lot of my startups were analytics related, so those are the three things that people actually liked. Or were referring the blog to like, hey, learn about this guy who has analytics companies or knows about analytics, or learn about entrepreneurship and making money online, or learn about marketing.
Right. I'm curious about that outsourcing. You said conversion rate experts based out of the UK. How much of the work that you do on your blog and with your companies is outsourced?
Well, company, we have a lot of staff. The blog, other than me writing the content and responding to comments, is all outsourced. I spend over six figures on the blog every year. So
And where else is
it's
that money spent other
uh,
than the conversion rate experts?
version experts cost me $8,000 a month right there.
Okay, so that quickly leads to six figures.
Yeah, and then I have someone who full time moderates my spam. Although that sounds silly, it's gonna take me forever to respond to the comments. The last thing I want to do is go through them and be like, "This is a spam comment." Because some people like, "Nice content, really thank you, or really appreciate you writing this blog post." Like it's a cool comment. I appreciate people leaving it, but it doesn't add value to the conversation, and it ruins the flow of the comments. So like, I have someone who goes in and just deletes those. Then I have someone who fixes my post from a grammatical standpoint because I really suck at grammar and spelling. Um, and then I have someone who does like my design changes, coding changes, and all of that, which tends to be like every other week. So like all of that, the blog's probably looking at like a 160 to 200 grand investment a year.
Right, and I expect that that is a higher investment than even a lot of commercial blogs make in theirs.
Yeah, QuickStart makes me a lot of money. It's just most people don't know how it makes me money,
Can
and
I
it
ask
doesn't
how
make
it makes you
any,
money?
yeah, enterprise clients.
Right.
Like there's a lot of Fortune 1000 companies that found me for my blog that pay my startup, and a lot of those deals are like six-figure deals every year. Like when you start getting, $500,000 deals from blogging, although most people don't know about it, and you start getting a few of those, and some are like 240 a year, and some are like hardly 120,000 a year. You easily can get to a million plus a year in revenue. So the revenue doesn't go to me; it goes to the company or to the startup, but the startup also pays to improve the blog because as we improve the blog, it not only helps me brand myself better, which helps the company and draw more customers for the company, but also helps bring in more enterprise customers as well, and that revenue goes to the business as well. So it's a win-win situation.
Right. I want to dig deeper into this if we can. And it does make sense now that the blog is worth the investment if it does need to be the face for these enterprise clients to be visiting. How do you turn a blog into $500,000 contract?
I'm good at sales.
Yeah, and that's why I'm interviewing you. How do we become so good at sales?
I have a ton of posts. That's like a whole like 10-hour conversation, but I didn't turn the blog into trying to get enterprise leads. It's just after you get so many readers after a while, people hit you up. And when you start getting hit up from these big companies, you can break down how they're doing things wrong internally. Like just give them a ton of free advice and break down what they're doing wrong in their job or why their company won't succeed. And you'll be shocked on how many people hire you when you dissect their business that much. Because these big companies, that when they're producing like $10 billion a year in revenue, they don't care to spend $1 million. It's chump change. They make more in interest than $1 million, right?
Right.
So it's like it's just all about breaking down what they're doing wrong in an organization and why the competition's kicking their butt or why the competition will kick their butt sooner or later. And they're just like, oh, you make good points. We should fix it. We could try doing it, but let's just hire you because we have money.
All right, I
And
like
here's the
it.
part about it: when you put someone in their place and you break down how they're doing everything wrong and they feel really dumb, you like take their power away from them. They're like, I'm this big corporate executive. I have power. You're beneath me. But you just put them down and you're giving them valid feedback. You're not doing it to make them feel like unworthy, but you they feel like you've power tripped them. They've lost their power. So to get back their power, a lot of times they're like, screw this guy. I'm gonna hire him and make him my, bitch. Excuse me.
That's the word I
And
was thinking too. I didn't want to say it.
they pay you in many cases because they feel like that's right. You think you know more than me, but now you're working for me. It's like I don't care. You just signed me a $500,000 contract, right? It's like you can call me whatever you want as long as that $500,000 clears.
Right. I like it. How do you go about telling these people exactly what they need to do with their companies? Is it mostly about their online presence, or is it more
It
a
is.
holistic view?
It depends, but it's usually specific related to marketing because a lot of people hit me up on marketing or business tactics. And it's usually one or the other, and they're asking me questions from a blog post that I wrote, and that's when I start breaking it down to.
Right. And do you usually do that by email? And if so, how long is that sort of initial
I
communication?
get them on the phone. It's hard to close a deal over email. You got to get people on the phone. And when someone asks me questions, I know they're from a big company because their email address says at whatever Microsoft or whatever. I just say, hey, let's just talk on the phone. I can help you out. I'll give you some free advice. I'm like, this would be easier to do over phone than email. And then that's when you start giving me free advice and like, hey, try implementing some of the stuff. Hit me back up in a few weeks and let's see where it goes from there. And if they hit you up, you got them on the hook to try to upsell them. And then you can figure out when you're talking to them the first time what their role is, what kind of control do they have, all that kind of stuff in their company to see how powerful they are. Because the last thing you want to do is talk to an associate who doesn't have much power, right? So if you're talking to an associate, you should still help them out, but you got to figure out how to move up the ladder really quickly, or else it's not going to go anywhere.
How do you move up the ladder?
So the first thing I'd be like, oh, you're marketing? I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, who do you work with there? I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I work with this. I report on the director of marketing. I'm like, well, if you make all these changes, what is your director of marketing think? Oh, I don't know if you'll like it or I think you'll be in. I'm like, you know what? Let's just all get on the call. I don't mind helping him out and giving him free advice too, right? I'm like, the last thing I want to do is have you tell you all this stuff and you go tell your boss and him getting mad at you. But hey, I don't mind making you look good on the call, right? I'm like, if I can give you good feedback and your boss knows I'm helping you out for free, it'll make everyone seem happy and hopefully it'll make you look better into your company. And people are like, oh yeah, I'm down. Give my boss some free advice, tell him how good I am. Right? Although I'm not necessarily saying how good this person is, I'm just breaking down the business and what's wrong. I'm like, yeah, I got an inquiry from you guys. Don't really care for your business or money, right? I'm just like, I'm just here to give free advice. Take it or leave it. And a lot of times it gets upset.
Right. But eventually it does turn into contracts, so sounds like good strategy. I do. I realize that we're coming up to the end of the hour. Do you mind if I just ask two more questions?
Sure, fire away.
Great. One is for the viewers that have waited until the end of the interview. What's one piece of advice for something they can do this afternoon, this evening to get ahead with their blogging, their writing?
One quick way if you want to make money is go find someone in your industry that can pay you and go blog about them and all the mistakes that they're making. It's a great way to get customers.
Okay, I like it. Maybe something that I'll try to put into practice the next couple of days. And then the other is that, just like you said with your about page, when you got to the end, you talked about where you're going, sort of what the goal is, where it's all headed. Can you tell us where is Neil Patel headed in the next few years?
A few years is probably my startup. I'll continue until it either goes public or sells or bankrupt. I don't think it'll go bankrupt, and I don't think it'll go public, but I'll just keep on growing it and making money, and whatever happens, happens. But I would say after that, maybe another startup or two, and then after that, probably I'll focus on the nonprofit world. Because the main reason I work is make enough money, and if I make enough money, maybe I can change the world. As silly as or as cliche as that may sound.
It sounds perfect to me, and I hope that we left everybody with that warm and fuzzy feeling, because that's good.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Neil, thank you so much for your time. When this is posted, I'll send the link on over.
Sounds good. Have a good one, and happy holidays to you.
I appreciate it. Happy holidays.